Good morning, my friend. Welcome to the Pastor's Podcast. Good to have you on Thursday morning and October the 2nd. I hope you had a good start to the month of October. We're getting ready here for our campaign, our best. And you make sure, church, hey, this is that weekend. We got to start pushing, trying to do our best, seeing what God can't do through us as we do our best. And I'd encourage you, wherever you are, let's do our best. Amen. This right here is what we need to do. And we get that done. You'll be surprised what God can do in our lives here this month of October. 4 Sundays, 4 pushes for God to do something. I'm anxious about it, been working at it, been getting everything prepared, getting out to, I've already been out this week, go out again today, all afternoon long be out. And then, of course, Saturday as well. And just trying to get ready for the big day. The first day, as we get out, is Loved Ones Sunday. Bring your family. Let's see God do something mighty. Let's have a great time. And those who come, we're going to have family pictures taken. So let's make sure we do our part in trying to get people out and seeing if we can't somehow, some way, see God do something miraculous in our church this weekend. Well, today, I want to talk to you about hindrances to faith living. Acts chapter 26, verse 28. Then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian. Now, there's only one way to please God in life or for your payment for eternity, and that is through faith. Faith, it takes faith to get saved, and it takes faith. Okay, it takes faith to get saved. For instance, it takes faith to believe that Jesus is the Son of God who left heaven and lived 33 years and never sinned one time and died on the cross to pay for the sins of eternity. It does take faith to do that. Now, if you don't have the faith to trust Christ's payment is all you need to be saved, you will not please God, which means that you result for salvation, which results in you going to hell. So it does take faith to get saved. Likewise, it takes faith after you've trusted Christ to live the Christian life. Let's face it, we don't always understand God's ways. It took faith for me to get saved. Now it takes faith for me to live for God. And I don't always understand God's ways, but I don't have to understand it. I just have to, by faith, trust and obey God and what he tells us to do and how to live. Now, many throughout history, both saved and lost, have struggled with faith living. Paul ran into this when he was being tried. Every time he presented the gospel, the faith hindrances of those he witnessed to kept them from getting saved. Now, those faith hindrances will also hinder you to live by faith. So let's look at the 4 hindrances that keep people from living by faith. First, convenience has kept many from faith living. Felix told Paul in Acts 24:25, he says, go thy way for this time. When I have a convenient season, I will call for thee. Faith is never convenient, ever. If faith was convenient, everybody would do it, would live by it. It was not convenient for the 3 Hebrew children to obey God by faith. It was not convenient for Daniel to continue praying, knowing that he's going to be thrown into the lion's den. It was not convenient for Noah to build an ark for 120 years with all the criticisms and the mockery that was coming his way. It was not convenient for Abram to leave his whole family and go to a land he hadn't even seen yet, didn't even know where it was. God didn't even tell him the destination. God just said, get up and go. It took faith. Now, faith tells you to leave everything for Christ. And most are unwilling to do it because it's not convenient. Second, reason has kept many from faith living. The Bible says that Felix reasoned about faith. Now, it did not seem reasonable to him. Didn't make sense to him. It will only, if you only will do what makes sense to you, you will never live a life of faith. Faith never makes sense, my friend, to those who live by faith or live in the flesh. You see, the flesh says, I gotta make sure it makes sense before I do it. God says that's not how you live the Christian life. You live by faith, and there's going to be times God tells us to do something that is going to feel like it's a waste of our time and a waste of our life. But you have to understand, when you live by faith, I'd rather waste my life living by faith and please God and get eternal rewards than live for pleasure and find out at the end that living a life of pleasure leads to emptiness and regret because there's nothing there at the end. Now, the third thing that hinders faith is one day I'm going to do it. Now, Agrippa and Felix both thought they would accept Christ one day, but they didn't. One day never comes. Tomorrow never comes. Now's the time to live by faith. God says when it comes to getting saved, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. Can I paraphrase that? Now's the time to live for God. Now is the time to live by faith. Every day not living by faith is a day that is wasted, because God could have done the miraculous and used us mightily on that day if we'd only lived by faith. You will never serve God by faith if you plan on doing it one day. One day I'm going to do it. No, now's that day. Now's that time to do it. The fourth thing is not caring about the things of God has kept many from faith living. Acts 18:17, it says, Galileo cared for none of those things. Sadly, many who are saved don't even care about the things of God. I'll be honest with you. Maybe one of the things that irritates me the most are believers that come to my church and they could care less if we're having a contest, care less if we're having a campaign. Just, I don't care. If I'm not there, big deal. What's the big deal? I'll tell you the big deal. People are going to hell. And the truth is, it can get flat out irritating to any pastor. And I wonder what God even feels like about some of these believers. They just don't care about the things of God. It's all about themselves, all about me, all about what I want, all about pleasure, all about fun. And in the meantime, they're losing their family. In the meantime, their heart's growing cold. In the meantime, one day when their kids are all out in the world, living for the world, and their children live immoral lives, then they're going to become crying, oh man, I should have listened. Well, why don't you listen now? You know the truth. And all the things that we can care for on this earth pale in comparison to the splendor of heaven and the rewards that we'll receive up there. But so many don't have the faith because they just don't care. Don't care that someone's going to go to hell. Don't care that there's people in the city that can be picked up and brought to church. Don't care. And that don't care attitude, what's the big deal? That has sent hundreds of thousands of people to hell. And there are going to be a lot of Christians with bloody hands because they just didn't care. Now, do you have any of these four things in your life? Are you waiting for a convenient time to live by faith? Are you trying to say, well, this doesn't, I have to let it make sense before I do it? No, it'll never make sense. Well, I'll do it one day. You'll never do it. If you don't do it now, you won't do it one day. And are you maybe that one that you just don't care? Who cares? Oh, my friend. We're losing a nation. A nation is going to hell, and people don't care. You know what's amazing to me? What's amazing to me is COVID came through, and churches were closed down. This stinking government stuff. We need church. They need to see that church is essential. And then all of a sudden, church came back in, and within a month, people started missing church again. And all of a sudden, church was no longer essential. And it's very obvious because they stay home for Sunday night football, and they miss Sunday morning Sunday school because they stayed up too late watching college football. It's just one of those times of the year that football's become the god of America, and they play in their church called stadiums, worshiping a god called money and pleasure, and sending hundreds of thousands of people to hell because we're living for pleasure. Faith living, my friend, somewhere we've got to get back to faith living. If we're going to save this whole nation, we've got to understand church is essential whether COVID's in or not, and it still is essential. And this faith living is essential no matter what goes on inside of life. And we have got to get some people that get back to realizing faith living is important, and we do need to live right. And because if we don't, we're going to lose this old nation. I look at America. I was just talking to my son-in-law right before I came on the podcast. That's why I'm coming on a little bit late. And we were talking about the world. He was showing me some world things, some world maps and what they used to be like. Do you realize back in the days, when I look at the book of Revelation and all the churches that Paul went to, that was the day. I mean, it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing that Christianity was thriving in the Middle East. Now it's gone. And now look at it. You try starting a church in the Middle East, you're risking your life. You might even get killed. I think of England, that once used to be the hotbed of Christianity and churches thriving. And now look at it, is slowly losing their freedoms, that even now you get arrested for posting things on social media. And here in America, we're not far from it if we don't wake up. My friend, this is the time to make something happen. Voices like mine are going to ring out in the head of people that you heard it, but you didn't do it. And one day you'll look back and say, well, man, we should have listened, but now look where we are now. You know why? Because we let faith hindrances keep us from living by faith. Let's get back to living by faith and watch what God can do. And I promise you this, if we'll do that, we can turn this whole thing around for God. Well, my friend, I hope this is a great help to you today. Now let's remember today, be good to everyone. Everyone's having a tough time. Have a great